Hello everyone. Before we begin, please like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below. Today's story is called The Shadow Beneath the Moon. It's a dark, suspenseful horror story about courage, fear, and the unknown.
My name is Ayla, and I always believed fear was something that lived only in my imagination, until the night I stepped into the house that watched me. It all started when my childhood friend, Mira, invited me to her family's old mansion in the countryside. She said she needed help cleaning the place before selling it. I agreed, thinking it would be a short, simple trip. The mansion stood in the middle of a silent forest, tall, ancient, and unsettling. The windows looked like dark, hollow eyes staring straight at me from a distance. Even before stepping out of the car, I felt watched. Mira came running outside with a nervous smile. Her hands were trembling, and her voice shook a little when she said, "Ayla, thank God you came. I didn't want to be here alone." Something in her tone felt wrong, forced, desperate. I glanced back at the house. A cool breeze blew from behind it, even though the trees were still. "Did you leave any lights on inside?" I asked. "No," she whispered, "but I could clearly see a faint yellow glow in the attic window." Inside the mansion. The moment we walked in, the wooden floor groaned like something heavy had moved upstairs. The air smelled of dust and something older, something rotten. The portraits on the wall seemed to follow me with their painted eyes. Every frame was crooked except one, a portrait of an old woman with hollow cheeks and a smile too wide to be human. Mira avoided looking at it. We began cleaning silently until Mira suddenly froze. "Ayla?" Her voice was shaking. "Did you close the front door?" Yes, of course." "Then who opened it?" The door was wide open. The wind outside was still. No footsteps, no sound, just the open doorway, like someone had quietly walked in. The whisper. When we closed the door again, we heard something from upstairs. A slow, dragging sound, like someone pulling their feet across the floor. "Probably animals," Mira said, though her face had turned pale. But then a whisper floated down the staircase. "Ayla! Mira!" We both froze. The voice was dry, old, and it—
The house seemed alive now. Every floorboard groaned, every shadow twisted unnaturally. I held Mira's hand tightly, trying to calm both of us. "We just need to check the attic," Mira whispered. Her words trembled like a leaf in the wind. The stairs creaked as we climbed, each step louder than the last. The attic door was old, cracked wood with iron hinges. The yellow glow came from a small cracked window at the back. I pushed the door open slowly. Inside, dust floated in the dim light and old furniture cast distorted shadows across the floor. And then I saw it. A figure crouched in the far corner, skin pale as ash, hair hanging like dark water, eyes hollow and glowing faint red. It didn't move, but the air around it pulsed with something wrong. The room temperature dropped, frost forming on the wooden floorboards. Mira gasped, "I don't think it's alive, but it's watching us." The figure slowly raised its head. A smile stretched across its face, far too wide, far too unnatural. I felt a cold hand grip my spine, even though
When I opened my eyes, Mira was gone. The kitchen was empty. The creature's presence was gone too. A cold silence filled the house. I stumbled toward the hallway, every step creaking under me. Then I noticed a small, ancient diary lying on the floor, covered in dust, leather-bound, almost pulsating with energy. I picked it up with trembling hands. The diary belonged to the mansion's original owner, a woman named Ilara Voss. The pages revealed horrifying truths. The house was built on cursed land where shadows could detach themselves from reality. People who entered the house alone were absorbed by the shadows, becoming permanent guests for the mansion. The mansion itself had a will, and it could manipulate minds, twist realities, and create illusions that preyed on fear. The previous occupants had mysteriously disappeared, their faces later appearing in portraits with twisted smiles. My heart raced. Everything we saw, the figure in the attic, the reflection, the wide smiles, was the mansion feeding on fear, and now it was targeting me. The shadow moves. Suddenly, I felt a cold draft from behind me. I turned. The hallway stretched impossibly long. Shadows moved independently, creeping along the walls, reaching toward me. One shadow split from the floor, forming the shape of a person. It whispered my name in 1,000 layered voices. Ayla, stay, stay forever. I ran toward the main staircase, but the house seemed to stretch endlessly. Rooms I had seen before had multiplied. Hallways twisted back on themselves. And then I heard Mira. Her voice came from nowhere, and the crack of light was too small to run through. I realized I had only one chance. I had to face the shadows without fear. I moved forward, clutching the diary like a shield. The house groaned and twisted around me. Doors disappeared. Hallways doubled. Stairs led to nowhere. Then I entered a room full of mirrors. The moment I stepped in, I saw myself, but it wasn't me. My reflection had hollow eyes and that same unnatural wide smile. It raised a hand and whispered, "Join us forever." Every mirror showed a different version of me, some screaming, some laughing maniacally, some crying in silence. The room felt like it was closing in, walls bending toward the mirrors. I understood. The house was using my own fear against me. Suddenly, the reflections started moving independently. They crawled out of the mirrors, trying to grab me. I ran, but
I stood outside the mansion, trembling under the cold moonlight. The forest was silent, except for the distant sound of the wind through the trees. The mansion behind me looked abandoned, innocent, almost peaceful. But something inside told me the nightmare wasn't over. I opened the diary again. A final page glowed faintly. The house feeds on fear, but the brave leave a mark. Only those who escape can warn the next. Suddenly, a whisper drifted from the dark woods. You cannot leave, not completely. I spun around. No one was there. A shadow flickered at the corner of my eye. Not human, not fully alive. It stared at me silently. Then I realized the house wasn't just a place. It was alive. It was a trap
for the curious, the fearful, and the brave alike. Every scream, every shadow, every wide smile, it was part of the house's memory. Even now, standing outside, I could feel it, watching, waiting, remembering my fear. I had survived, but I knew it would always follow me, in dreams, in reflections, in the quiet moments when shadows lengthen.
Ignoring their warnings, a reef walked to the school that night. The rusty gate creaked open on its own. The air smelled of damp wood and all.
I stood outside the mansion, trembling under the cold moonlight. The forest was silent, except for the distant sound of the wind through the trees. The mansion behind me looked abandoned, innocent, almost peaceful. But something inside told me the nightmare wasn't over. I opened the diary again. A final page glowed faintly. The house feeds on fear, but the brave leave a mark. Only those who escape can warn the next. Suddenly, a whisper drifted from the dark woods. You cannot leave, not completely. I spun around. No one was there. A shadow flickered at the corner of my eye. Not human, not fully alive. It stared at me silently. Then I realized the house wasn't just a place. It was alive. It was a trap for the curious, the fearful, and the brave alike. Every scream, every shadow, every wide smile, it was part of the house's memory. Even now, standing outside, I could feel it, watching, waiting, remembering my fear. I had survived, but I knew it would always follow me, in dreams, in reflections, in the quiet moments when shadows lengthen.